Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King's Cathedral Roundtable. I am your host for today, Johnny DeRay, and here with me we have Dana Watkins. Today we're going to talk about an important topic. We believe that Jesus came to die and to die so we can have an abundant life. That includes mentally, that includes physically, that includes spiritually, but also financially. So today we're going to talk about personal finances through the holidays. We are in some unprecedented times, and so we believe that it's very important that we are on top of our personal finances, right? Deacon Dana and I both co-facilitate the D3 Personal Finance Program at the King's Cathedral. So I could not think of anyone better to do tonight's show with me other than Deacon Dana. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. So like I said at the beginning of the introduction, we are in unprecedented times. Inflation rates is at 6.2%. That's compared to last year where it was 1.4%.
Yeah.
There's a huge increase. So what that means is our gifts this year is going to cost a whole lot more, 6 times more than what it cost last year. So we want to go over some ways that we can have an amazing holiday season, but at the same time give a gift that's valuable without breaking the bank, right?
Yes.
So we want to do this without being stressful. We want to do this with a smile on our faces, but also do this to really bring joy to the family and those we love. So, Deacon Dana, if you don't mind me asking, so what would you suggest for a family? I know you have a child of your own. What would you suggest for a parent or parents to do without ruining Christmas for their children? Like, what would you do during this unprecedented times? You know, there are families that are losing their jobs, right? And like I said, inflation increase.
Well, I'm not sure if it would ruin Christmas, but I think one important thing is to keep it real. Keep it simple, keep it real, and talk to your children as honestly as possible on their level.
Good. I think that's so important because we think I know, at least for me growing up, I didn't know what was going on in my parents' bank accounts. You know,
Right.
I didn't know if they were struggling financially. If they were, like, they did a great job hiding it. My family, we grew up having what was needed. You know, so I think it's very important as parents. You should have the dialogue with your children, like, hey, this year is going to be a bit different. Here's why. You know, but it also sets an expectation from the children's point of view as well, that hey, like, mom and dad can't do everything this year that we want. You know, and I think also purchasing the right gifts. Like, you know, like I know every child wants the new PS5 and they want the new Iron Man toy or whatever, new bicycle. But you know, sometimes we have to understand that not every single want is needed. You know, so what?
And each year may be different for your family, and so one year you may be able to give more gifts, and the next year you may not.
Yeah.
You know, it also, like we already said, we talk about inflation, people losing their jobs, sometimes not even losing your job, but having to take a pay cut, you know, just to keep your job.
Right.
And foregoing that raise so that you can keep your job, so that there will be some Christmas, or there will be 364 other days of the year that you really need to focus on, not just the one day.
Just the one day, absolutely. That's so good. And I think you nailed two things. There are people that are losing their jobs. Some folks are taking pay cuts. So that's stress within itself, right?
Yes. Especially when you're planning for that.
Right.
You know, you get to the end of the year and think, okay, well, my raise is coming next year, and I'm going to be able to get this and this and take care of these things, and then you find out that you can't do that.
Yeah, right. So with what people go through on a regular basis through work. There's already, it's already stressful.
Right.
What would you recommend for an individual or couple to either avoid the stress during the holiday season or have a better way of handling it like during the holiday season?
For a couple, but I also think single parents, honesty. You really need to be honest with yourself about where you are.
Right.
I think of Christmas as a wonderful day.
Yeah.
What I always told my son was that it's a day where we have the opportunity to celebrate the birth of Jesus.
Yeah.
And in doing that, we're able to give and receive gifts. So it's not our day.
Right.
It's the day that we as Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus.
Right. Totally.
But I think it's important to be honest. I mean, if you're not there, if you don't have it, you don't have it. But don't try to find it.
Right.
At this point, it's December. You don't have it.
Right.
And so, so on top of the fact that you've already got your bills right here to pay, and then you go try to find it, contact an institution or maybe a family member and ask for some money for help.
Yeah.
And so on top of paying your initial bills, you've got to pay back that institution or that family member. And then what happens when you can't do that? Then you're going to go to another person or another institution. So it just adds up. Layer on top of layer, but you still have the initial.
Yeah.
And I think it's just being honest. As a couple, you're talking to each other about, well, this is really where we are.
Yeah.
This is what we need to get done. This is what may not get done this year.
Yeah.
Thinking about your whole household.
Yeah.
And some things may have to be put aside until next year. But you gotta be honest.
Yeah, no, that's
gotta communicate.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. That's communication.
Yeah, you're expected the PS5.
Yeah.
Your kids are, and you want the car.
Right. No, I think you touched on something really good there. Being communicated. Really having that communication going around in the home is so important.
Right.
And I think it eliminates, like you said, like we're in Box, we're pretty much in December now.
Right.
So to have to figure out a way to get that gift, it makes us really do what we call impulse buying, right?
Absolutely.
And then with it, impulse buying, we don't care about the price. We buy all of this stuff, and then the next after December 26th, you realize, oh my goodness, what did I do? What did I do
That's
first?
a big question.
Right.
What did I do?
Right.
And that gets loud in your head.
Yes. So I think so if you make a plan, communicate. That helps with reducing the stress. Being honest with yourself and your loved ones, that helps reduce the stress, right? Good. So what are some so my next question I want to talk about is gifts, right? With the supply chain going on, it's the news outlets are saying that the average days for a product to get out is 13 days right now. If you go on any news outlet, you will see how there's ships, cargo ships, just sitting out in the sea right now in the West Coast, waiting to remove all of those cargoes off the ships and get them to the retail shops and get them out the door. So, what would you say, as far as gifts wise, would be key to purchase for a loved one, children, family member, or whatever? Or how do you go about? I guess that's a better question. How do you go about deciding what gifts you want to purchase?
Well, that 13-day thing, I'm not sure I believe that.
Really?
I'm not sure it'll be here in 13 days. Yeah. So you might want to plan a little bit further out, just in case, because I can imagine some children on Christmas wondering where any of their gifts are.
Right.
So I would keep that in mind. And as far as maybe deciding which gifts, I think it's just important to figure out which ones you really need. Because right now we talked about inflation being at 6.2. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Because you still have to put food on the table, or maybe gas in the car, or the bus pass, or whatever it is. You have to think about the 364 other days that are coming up.
Right, totally.
So I think you need to first figure out what's most important. And it may not be the biggest gift, or the most expensive one, but really figure out which one.
Right.
And you may not be able to get 6 gifts for your child or your spouse.
Right.
It may be just one.
Yeah, I remember one of the classes we taught, one student mentioned the 4-gift rule. A gift that you can read, a gift
that you need,
the
one that you can wear,
the one you can wear,
and what was the other one? And one you want.
Right.
Yes.
So that 4-gift rule.
Yes.
A gift that you need,
a wear, and a read.
something you can wear, something you can read, and something that is a want.
Yes.
And then I think having that approach would give us, or the person that's purchasing the gift, to give you an idea of what to get. So now that also removes some of the stress from you as well, right? So that's good. Also a way you can avoid the supply chain issue that we're currently facing right now is buy locally. Buy locally. Buy from companies that are within the U.S. So you don't have to worry about shipments taking longer or taking 2 weeks to come out to your location. So
yeah, because I can imagine if you put all of your stock in this one gift that's coming from East Chepachet, somewhere, and it doesn't get there, and that was your only gift for that person. Had you bought locally, or maybe considered a different avenue, whether it was something creative. It might have been there that day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, creativity. Try to use your creativity. Try to see what things you can come up with on your own. I know another thing too. What comes to mind is every time, whenever I'm in a circle with a group of friends or family, the question comes up. Name one Christmas or holiday season that you can think of that really stood out in mind. And it's very, very rare that someone mentions a gift they received. It's always the experience, right? Right. It's always a memory that happened that is always, I shouldn't say always, but the majority of the time that comes up. So I would definitely recommend try to think of a way you can create an experience for someone that you love, right? Instead of worrying about the gift, which a lot of times it's good for a few days or a year perhaps, and it's on to the next thing. So I would definitely focus on an experience for this year as well. And then I think that would also help with trying to avoid the issue of the supply chain that's currently happening. So, good.
And there's things, there's ways to be creative.
Yeah.
Especially, when we're talking about the gift that you could read or you want or need, or something you can wear. Yeah. You may be the person that might get the gift that this person wants because you know exactly what they want, or and someone else may know exactly what they need.
Right.
So, so that's a way maybe to kind of divide and conquer.
Right.
As opposed to trying to find that one particular thing that maybe includes all of them. The need, the want, the read, and.
No, that's good. I never thought about that. Just spreading it amongst. Like was it Yankees Pop? I think it is something like that. So to have like a group activity where someone is sharing the part of that labor. So you're not worried about everything that's happening as far as the gift goes. So that's good. Thank you. So what would you say is an experience individuals can do this year? I know for me, what comes to mind is even it's volunteering in some community with some community organization.
Right.
You know.
I would say definitely volunteering.
Yeah.
Reading at the library.
Mm.
To the children. Making gifts. If your organization or your job or whatever, maybe making cards, making crafts.
Yeah.
I like to do crafts, and so something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I know one other thing too is I know a family that would adopt a family.
Oh yeah.
And it's what they would do is they would purchase gifts for a family, and they would deliver the gifts to the family.
Right.
So now those children are going to remember. Oh, I remember when mom and dad brought us to a family to bring gifts to them.
Right, and we went shopping.
We went shopping together. Right. Yeah, no, totally. I know with the King's Cathedral, we've done that years past. So it definitely brings joy to you to see the smile on that family's face.
And I think it helps if we're going to do that. It helps to know exactly what that family needs.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to guess.
Absolutely. Totally.
And then the sizes of everything are too big, too small, or wrong colors or something.
Right.
Or there's boys and no girls, and you got girl stuff. So.
Now I want to talk about some valuable gifts. Okay. So here's what I mean by valuable.
Socks.
Okay. I want to say socks. So when I think of value, I mean, of course, it depends on the person. So
I may need a toothbrush.
Right. So it does depend on the person. But when I'm thinking about something that you can constantly learn from, think about a gift that you can give to a child. I know we talked about something you can read, so that's something that a child can carry on with forever. But what are some gifts you think would be educational, something that the child can use over and over again? Like for me, I think probably not use, but can be beneficial years down the line that people really don't think about often is stocks. Actually, but not socks. Stocks. STOCKS.
Stocks.
Buying stocks. Right. Stocks and bonds. Right. So purchasing a stock or a bond for a child, preferably a stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bonds.
Not
so much bonds. But buying a stock for a child or a loved one. And watch the value of it grow, and then years down the line, they can sell that share, or however many shares they have, and they can see the return from that money as opposed to buying that train set and it goes out the window in a couple of days.
Because the track broke.
Right, because the track broke.
Or the remote.
Right.
Derailed.
Right.
That's true. And that actually also, in buying stocks, you would want to, as you would want to research, which stocks. And so you're actually doing some education, for yourself. And you might end up looking into something else too. But, I mean, that's also educating you too.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So that
yeah, Monopoly.
Yes, that brings back memories, but we won't talk about that right now. But yes, Monopoly is.
Yeah, that's a nice little family game.
Oh yeah, but I like Life better. The game of life.
The game of life.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played it forever, but okay, I can see. I see that.
Yes.
Life. Good.
But yeah, board games.
Yep.
I mean, board games. I've always loved board games. I used to do board games like every Friday or something, and that's just a nice family time.
Right.
Everybody can, have a game piece in there, and so.
And I think that, and that's so key, especially nowadays where everything's electronics, everything's social media, your cell phone, your tablet. Like,
and you always have it.
You always right. So I think having something like a game board that everyone can be involved in, everyone can participate, can go a long way. Now you're building relationships.
Yes.
You're building, you're creating memories, and everybody's involved. So
Right.
that's a very good point. until the game board gets thrown across the room.
Yeah, because when one person loses, they make it.
Right. So,
But I was going to say another gift, for kids. Just thinking back on things that I gave my son over the years. To start with a children's Bible. You want something that they can keep. So if they start young, reading the children's Bible and talking about stories.
That's good.
And relating them to how we are now or a situation now. That's an opportunity for collaboration or just family.
Right, and like you said, the whole purpose of Christmas is to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So why not
a
children's Bible? And like you said, you can sit down at the table together. You can go over it and read it together. Have a devotional time. That's a very good gift right there. Awesome. So we thought about some ideas, some gift ideas, about ways to build experiences. We thought about ways to avoid the supply chain mishap right now. We also thought about ways of countering the inflation, the increase in inflation. So what would you say would be a good way to train up your child during the holidays?
I think, as I said earlier, to keep it simple and keep it real. I remember having a conversation, with my son, because it was just the two of us, and he was around, people who had two-parent families, and sometimes you wondered, well, why couldn't I have this or couldn't I have that? So I made sure to have a conversation with him in his room. And I remember we were sitting on his bed, and I told him to get his Legos. And at the time he was writing a lot, so we had the eraser heads. And
I remember those.
I will not. Crazy. But the eraser heads, and I think we had some paper clips and something else too. But anyway, I would, I remember we took those and laid them out in between us. And so I said, this pile, this amount would go for groceries. This amount goes for paying the roof over your head. This pays for entertainment, a movie or whatever. This pays for the shoes and the clothes on your feet. And mine too, of course, mine too. So I broke everything down in some situations, and I said, and this is what we have, left to work with after everything, the water bill, the gas. I mean, this is what we have to work with. And so I think, like I said before, I think it's important to show them that your money, your income, is getting divided. Right. And our tithes, offerings, things like that, it all gets divided, and so this is what what you see. And this is how we do it.
That's good. That's so good. I know growing up for me, my parents always, gifts was not a big thing at home at all. It was like it was very rare to find a gift under the Christmas tree. You had a Christmas tree. There were no gifts. There was, from time to time, there were socks. There were church socks on top of that. But gifts was never a thing in my family. We were built on really a foundation of family and just spending time with each other. It was never about materialist things, and that to be honest with you, I still use some of that teaching till this day. And now I'm realizing, wait a minute, it's experience over materialistic things. Materialistic things come and goes, So that I'm happy that you shared with us all. That was very helpful. So that we are winding down to the top of the hour. 8 o'clock is here. So we encourage you to like, subscribe, share today's roundtable. Share with your friends, share with your family. The holiday season is fastly approaching. It is. I cannot believe we're already in the third week of November. So sooner or later we're going to be in Christmas, but in the next thing it's going to be New Year. So we encourage you to share tonight's show, and also stay tuned. So for next week's episode, you'll be able to be connected with us by liking, sharing, and subscribing. So we highly encourage you to do that. At least do that. You would not regret it. So we thank you. We thank you, Deacon Dana, for joining us today. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for sharing. So this concludes tonight's episode of the Roundtable. We will see you next week. Thank you again for watching.